on the square? Are you on the level? Are you ready to stand right here for the Delve Elf Mental competition? That's right. We have a competition coming up that's all elves. Elf Union, Wood Elf, High Elf, Dark Elf. It doesn't matter what kind of elf as long as they're elves. And they're going to take the pitch to decide not only who is the best of the elves, but also who is the best elf coach here at NBP-Pro. So, for more info on that competition, just let us know in the Discord if you're interested. Dr. J, fantastic Dr. J, is going to be running that. And don't forget, transfers are coming up at the end of week 4. You can call up a player from the devs and send down a player from the pros, or just outright buy a player with gold. So, if you want to get a pro transfer in, hit up that transfer market channel on the Discord. So, without further ado, I hope you did enjoy the musical intro, but we're going to get into the real meat of the show now. So, without further ado, it is time for another NBP-Pro Show! And as always, I'm your host, Commissioner Daltmick, bringing you the rundown of everything that happened in week 2 of NBP-Pro play. So, let's hop right in to the Old World Conference, where the Ancient Empires division lies. And the first matchup there was Jonah 2005 UK and the Haunting of Men taking on Matt Zucador's Yu-Gi-Oh! And that is Undead versus Skaven. Those mummies, wights, ghouls came out and put a pounding on some gutter runner, storm vermin, and line rats. And it was vicious, it was brutal, there was rat blood everywhere. And despite of all the violence, the Undead team managed to score 3 touchdowns and score a 3-1 victory against the Skaven squad. And that put him in first place. So the Haunting of Men is in first place of Ancient Empires division. Getting very close to that playoff spot, but not really, because we still have a lot of season left. But he's establishing himself very well here early in the season. And that put Matt Zucador in third of Ancient Empires. Then we go on down to a friendship that has lasted over 20 years. A matchup between 2 coaches, 8, now 9 seasons in the making. That's right. It took 9 seasons for these 2 lifelong friends to square off here in NBP, and square off they did in a spectacular game that's on Twitch. You can probably catch that replay, but nonetheless, it'll always be on Cabal Vision if you want to check that out, as fantastic Dr. J and MVP Park Life and his orcs take on Legend T 969 and the Nagarath Bolts, who are a Dark Elf team. The Dark Elves got the ball early in the game, and they scored early as well, taking that 1-0 lead and gaining momentum from there. But the momentum would not be enough at that time to stop the orcs, who drove down and injured some elves along the way, while also taking some injuries. Some witch elves out there, doing magic as the orcs drove down and tied the game up late in the first half. But the second half would be a completely different story, as we saw the elves establish their dominance and have their way with the orcs, even killing Randy Marsh. R.I.P. Randy Marsh. You will always be remembered. You were an amazing orc player and an amazing pro player here in NBP, but you are now put to rest. You fought well, soldier. And that death would kind of compound the way the momentum would go from there, as the Nagarath Bolts manages to get the ball and score late in the second half, taking that 2-1 victory. There was still time for the Orcs to score, but they just couldn't put together enough offense with the lack of turns that they had, taking the loss. And that's 2 straight losses for Dr. J there, putting him in 4th place, and the Nagarath Bolts move up to 2nd now with 3 league points. Now, we go on down to Beheaded Kings, where this was the 2nd game on the ticket, but it didn't get played, so we'll cover it first. Orion Magics and Pong Hines versus Boxing Clever and Wheelie 365, 2 amazing veteran coaches here in NBP, deprived us all of a spectacular matchup. Just imagine what would happen if these 2 heavyweight teams, What Else versus Humans, head-to-head on an NBP-Pro pitch. The madness we could have all witnessed there. But alas, it did not happen, and the game was managed to a 0-0 draw, which helped them both. The standings would be a lot different after everybody in Beheaded Kings drew last week had these 2 teams played. But nonetheless, it could have been a draw had they played it, but it's a 0-0 draw because of management, which ties them for 2nd place in Beheaded Kings, both with 1 touchdown for and against last week because they didn't score any in the managed game. But the game that actually did get played in Beheaded Kings was a glorious game. A bag of chodes and Blake Nuts 666, the Chaos Dwarfs, taking on Kodak Cookie, Small and Mighty, and Ogre Squad. You know, normally you would think the Ogres could come around and throw their weight all over the pitch and demand touchdowns. But that was not the case. The Chaos Dwarfs were able to hold off that Ogre onslaught and smash some Noblars. Absolutely destroy those little runts as they ran all up and down the pitch for 2 touchdowns. Small and Mighty still did manage to score. They scored 1 touchdown, but it wasn't enough to draw or win. So 2-1 victory to Blake Nuts and a bag of chodes, and that nets him 1st place in Beheaded Kings with 1 win and 1 draw. And Small and Mighty in 4th place with 1 win and 1 loss. Standings would be completely different more than likely had Wheelie and Pong gone head-to-head, because I'm sure a winner would have probably came out of that one, not just a draw. 2 amazingly skilled coaches, 4 amazingly skilled coaches here in Beheaded Kings, don't get me wrong. But these 2 guys have been around since OG days of NBP, and it's unfortunate we didn't get to see them play in their first meeting here Season 9. But we scurry on over to the Cold Hearts division, a mix of returning and new coaches. Well, new veteran coaches, I should say. New to NBP, but veterans to the game. First game on the ticket was Blood Moon Wanderers against the Pollinaire Keg Killers. That is Omega Deviant coaching a Necro team up against Bubba Tattoo coaching a Dwarf team. And this was a knockdown drag-out. A good old-fashioned slobber knocker, as JR would say. And these 2 teams beat the tar out of each other, but still managed to score 1 each. So very even game. You know, all's fair in love and war, because these 2 teams had a little bit of both in that one. 1-1. And that kind of cements them 2nd place there a little bit. Bubba Tattoo is going to take 2nd place because he has a win and a draw, whereas Blood Moon Wanderers takes 3rd with a win and a loss. And then we go to the 2nd game on the ticket for Cold Hearts there, which had JG 1357 welcoming here to the league. He had an amazing 2-0 start so far, and he got another victory here. JG and Halloween Plebs, the Necro team, taking on S130 South and Wepley Wanderers, which is a Dark Elf team. So we got 2 Necro teams there and in this Cold Hearts division. And so far, the Wepley Wanderers have yet to score a touchdown. So I know we're all rooting for them to get their first score in here in MVP. We'd love to see them win a match. or get some touchdowns or something. But I think they're still developing well, getting good MVPs, getting SPP all around. But, that still doesn't add up into the standings without the win. But we are still glad to have all of our Cold Hearts division coaches here. Welcome back to Bubba, and welcome to the league to Omega, JG, and South. So South is in 4th, Omega's in 3rd, Bubba is in 2nd, and JG is in 1st for Cold Hearts. So now that we've cleared away all of the old world, let's move on over to the new world. The USA Conference, all USA coaches here. We'll start it off top of the board, Deep Dark. Deep Dark has NWO. I almost always want to say New World Orca, but they're chaos, so it can't make the pun there as much as I would love to. New World Order and a chaos squad coached by Cook 9000 taking on returning champion, former commissioner, Kamikoze, and his lizard squad. Get Confident Stupid. Managing to keep the shutout alive after a 2-0 shutout last week, grabs a 1-0 shutout this week. There's a lot of mutations on that Chaos squad. They're a very interestingly built team. They have the max amount of coaches and the max amount of cheerleaders. So that gets their defense all riled up because NWO has managed to lose 2 straight games, but only 1-0. So they have a decent offense there. I think they have a decent defense there in the aspect that they're not getting scored on multiple times, because I think it's the offense that's causing the problems. They're not getting the touchdowns in there, and they're losing the ball on offense. And I think that was the case for sure in their first game, but I think this game as well. But Kamikoze still manages to edge out the win there with a 1-0. His Lizards are a very scary team. I mean, they are the returning champions for a reason. Very, very scary. They have a lot of great skills, a lot of sidestep on all those skinks, so he can kind of just put them wherever he wants, even when they get hit. And they don't do too bad on the ball either. And so that's going to net him first place, just due to the amount he scored one more touchdown than the team in second place. And the team in second place of Deep Dark is going to be Malevolent Malware, coached by DKM, another Chaos squad here in Deep Dark, going up against Coach Shushnik and In the Shadows. The Vampires here, seeing if they can score after their 2-0 loss to the returning champion. And this is a rivalry here that kind of got started over in Tar and Feather in previous seasons. These two are former Tar and Feather coaches, and potentially would be this season if the TVs would have worked out. But everything was staggered by TV, so they ended up in Deep Dark. Two Central Time Zone coaches with a history squaring off here. And it was only a 1-0 game. I'll reveal that at the end. But there were several chances to score for the Vampire team. But with some shenanigans by the Chaos team, they managed to get the ball out of bounds. And the ball was thrown all over the place with the crowd. The crowd just threw it, and it went out again, and they threw it again. And I think it went out a third time. I need to recheck the replay, but it's a little too late for that now. But a great replay if you want to check that game out. Lots of shenanigans, sweltering heat there, adding to the numbers advantage and all of that. But the Malevolent Malware did manage to score and take away the 1-0. Tying for second place with 2 total touchdowns in their conference or / division play. And that kind of ties them up for first against Cozy. So in week 3, they're going to square off, and we're going to see an amazing game there. Because I know that because it's already been played. Check that Cabal Vision replay, but we'll recap it on the next episode. But it was spectacular seeing these two teams square off for first place. Same with the NWO and In the Shadows. They've already played as well. Check out those Cabal Vision replays. Another great game. But we'll cover it. We'll cover it next week. I promise. So, that's Deep Dark squared away. Kamikoze in first, DKM in second, Cook in third, and Shushnik in fourth. But it's more like tied for first tied for second type of situation there. It's only 2 weeks in, so there's not a whole lot of data to go off on that. So we'll mosey on over to the Saltworks division, where we see Morks Orcs first place in Old World division as well. Our Old World, man, I've messed that all up. First place in New World Conference, first place in Saltworks division. Fury of Anon and Morks Orcs, obviously an orc team, taking on Joe Cole and the Meat Men, a Chaos squad. So we got back-to-back MM Chaos teams there. Will we ever see the MMs go up against each other? That would be a tongue twister, right? Malevolent Malware versus the Meat Men. Anyway, that's a tangent. We had the Morks Orcs taking on Meat Men, and the Morks Orcs continue to assert their dominance here in NBP. A 2-0 start coming out of Saltworks, absolutely crushing the Chaos squad, causing injuries, doing what orcs do, throwing their weight around. And it is very unfortunate that the Chaos were not able to throw their weight around as equally, because we love to have Joe Cole here, and he's new to the NBP scene, so we're glad to have him here. And I know, once again, we're all rooting for him to score his first touchdown after his loss last week. He didn't score. So, two teams on touchdown watch, Wapley Wanderers and Meat Men on opposite sides of the pond here. We're all rooting for you to get that touchdown. We will celebrate in Excessus Deo once we all manage to see you score. We're rooting for you guys. But that 2-0 victory is back-to-back shutouts for Morks Orcs and 5 total touchdowns here in play, definitely cementing himself in first place in his division as well as his conference. Then, the second ticket game on Saltworks, we had Praise the Joe, returning coach, Knockout Joe, taking on Blitz Among Us, that's Godzillos, and humans versus vampires? Yes, vampires. So we got some vampire representation, and last week I told these vampire teams to sacrifice some thralls to Nuffle, and it sounded like Blitz Among Us did it, because Blitz Among Us puts a humongous stat line on the board with a 2-touchdown game. But returning coach Knockout Joe, normally playing some stunties. He played Goblins for a while, and I think he played Bretonians last season. He brought humans to the mix, and they also managed to score 2 touchdowns. 2 touchdowns apiece. So a 2-2 draw for the two, and that establishes a foothold for both of these teams. Although a better one for Joe after the win last week, but still a foothold for Blitz Among Us nonetheless. Because that puts it Fury of Anon and Morks Orcs in first, Knockout Joe in second for Saltworks, and then Godzillos and Blitz Among Us, 1 win, 1 loss, and then Meat Men with a 0-2. So, still plenty of season. Lots of season. 6 weeks left, and we're going into week 3, so 5 weeks left. But don't forget about transfers, folks. You can always transfer up to help you out, especially Saltworks and Cold Hearts. I know they were coming in as fresh teams, only played a few games at the most if they did play games. And so we'd love to see you guys bring in some transfers to add some beef to your teams coming up. Now, the final ticket of New World, we got Tar and Feather. Tar and Feather sees the Turf Pirates coming off of a loss last week. That's a Chaos Dwarf team coached by Rebel Knight, and they're taking on a Nurgle team coached by Play Bear, The Cure, and this was a brutal matchup. 2 bash teams coming out onto the field and just laying into each other. And that's what happened there. And unfortunately, the Nurgle's rot kind of got to the Nurgle team as they started to crack. They cracked and rotted as the Chaos Dwarfs clawed and mighty blowed their way through their lines, injuring some guys, potentially killing some guys, as they march on down for a 2-0 win. So, coming off of their 1-0 loss last week, they managed to scoop up a 2-0 win, and shaking up Tar and Feather completely, as Rebel Knight pretty much establishes first place there other than a touchdown, and we'll cover that in the next game here. But yes, shaking it up completely because he lost last week and won this week, and the opposite is true for Playbear. Won last week, lost this week. So kind of all square in that aspect, and it's going to continue to be all square as we go on to Thundercats FC taking on yours truly and Baphomets Bestowed. And, ooh boy, this was a rough one for the BB team. It was looking like a 1-0 draw there at the end of the game, but the Wood Elves had a different story. So the Wood Elves received in the first half. The Chaos Squad met them with a lot of opposition, hit them with some fists, injured some players, but despite all of that opposition and knocking the ball loose and everything, the War Dancers were able to get the ball and get free after some amazing coaching by Juan C. Yes, Juan C versus yours truly. Juan C played a spectacular game, scoring late in the first half, giving me only one turn to bash before the half, knock down a tree, gang foul the tree, kill the tree, and at this point I'm excited. You know, I've killed the tree. I can at least get a draw out of this, right? Maybe even a win. I've killed the tree. Now I just have to kill the rest of the Wood Elves, right? That was not the case. Despite the fact that I did injure both War Dancers and most of his team, the tree was saved by an APO. So the tree comes back, and the tree is just a roadblock the entire game. Just in my way, causing all kinds of mayhem for my offensive drive. But nonetheless, I'm up the left side of the field near the sideline, very close to the end zone, was out of range to score. So I was just trying to hold and then score in the next turn. But that wasn't good enough for me because the Wood Elf teams was able to get some players free, make some crazy dodges, make an insane one-die blitz, knock the ball loose, get the ball, run away, get it to a catcher who ran all the way down the field and scored in the last turn of the game to make it 2-0. So a game that was looking to be a 1-1 very late in the game turned into a 2-0 victory for the Thundercats FC, and that was an amazing game played by Juan. It was an amazing game. Lots of good dice, but lots of good plays on top of that. The dice were very, very even, I would say. And I just got outplayed. And that was it. So that does completely shake up Tar and Feather. Because now every team in Tar and Feather is 1 win, 1 loss after 2 weeks. So now going into the week 3, it's going to be a very, very pivotal week for every team here in Tar and Feather. We're going to try to wrap this up. Camera's telling me I got a few minutes left, so we'll try to be quick with these closings. So yes, Juan C in first place, 3 total touchdowns. Rebel in second place, 2 total touchdowns. Playbear in third place, 2 touchdowns, 3 against. And yours truly, fourth place in Tar and Feather, 1 total touchdown and 2 against. And so it's all locked up there. Week 3 is the decider for that one. So with 4 minutes left to record, I'm going to try to close this one out and say we're just going to go for the top 5 of the entire league. If you want to see the rest of the stats for this, they're in the Discord. The charts are up there. But top 5, Fear Vinon, Morks Orcs, 5 total touchdowns, 2 wins, and that's it after 2 weeks, 4 league points. Top 2, Jonah 2005 UK, Haunting of Men, Old World, Ancient Empires, 2 wins, 4 total touchdowns, 1 against. Third place, JG 1357, Halloween Plebs, Old World, Cold Hearts, 2 wins, 3 total touchdowns, 1 against. 4, returning champion, Kamikoze, Get Confident Stupid, New World, Deep Dark, 2 wins, 3 total touchdowns, none against. Top 5 is then DKM, Malevolent Malware, New World, Deep Dark, 2 wins, 2 touchdowns, and 4 league points. So that's your top 5 going into week 3. Running out of time, I'm going to close this off very quickly before the camera cuts me off. I like to end this on my own terms, not you, camera. So, if you liked the show, thumbs up. If you hated the show, thumbs down. One of the ways. Either way, it helps out the interaction of the show. Let me know what you think in the Discord or in the comments. I hope you all enjoyed this show. Let me know what I can do better. Let me know what you don't like. And I hope you all have enjoyed these 2 weeks of play. And I hope you all enjoy the rest of your day. Thanks for watching, everybody. Have a good one.